Today we are blessed with the beautiful presence of Julie Tato, who I always want to call Tara because she just embodies that essence of Tara that I was talking about on Mother's Day, that compassion and beauty and peace. She is a meditation teacher, works a lot up at Lama. I don't have any notes. I'm just speaking from my heart for how much I love you and so thrilled that you're here. So welcome, Julie Tato.
Okay, Mike. I'm always intimidated by the mic, so. Is it good?
Yes.
Yes.
Please put it close,
Close.
because I'm a little hard to hear.
No problem.
there.
Yeah, is that good?
Ooh, that's
Perfect.
nice.
All right.
Thank you.
Let me know if it, yeah. I'm also hard of hearing, and even with my hearing aids, I'm hard of hearing, so. I understand. And I also have noticed since I started wearing hearing aids that my own voice sounds very loud to me, and so sometimes I talk too quietly, so you'll let me know. So, I think one thing I wanted to start with is just wanted to talk about this last weekend, Mother's Day weekend. I was in Arizona at a retreat with a Tibetan teacher called Tsoknyi Rinpoche. I don't know if anyone's ever met him or knows of him. Tsoknyi Rinpoche is an old Tibetan man. He's 90 years old. He's what my teacher calls the Sampa, one of the Sampa-fed masters, which in Taos we might call them the blue corn-fed masters. Sampa is this roasted barley flour that in the old days was a main staple of the Tibetan people. Yeah, he's from the old school of Tibetan practice. And he, in the time of the Cultural Revolution, he fought against the Chinese, even though he was a monk, and he was arrested. And he was imprisoned for 20 years. And during that time, you know, we don't even need to imagine, but we could imagine that it wasn't easy. There was a lot of pain and difficulty. But what was also true is that during that time, because many monks and nuns were imprisoned, some monks and nuns found each other and were able to continue their practices in secret and learn from each other. So Tsoknyi Rinpoche is someone who, he says that for the first 10 years of his imprisonment, he was really angry and really fighting in a certain way, outwardly and inwardly. But through the grace of his practice and the teacher that he met there, that changed, and he became so loving and so compassionate that actually when he was released from prison, his guards actually cried because they didn't want to lose their teacher. So now that was 1979 that he was released. So what is this, 50 years later, almost 50 years later. The reason I wanted to go meet this teacher is that I had heard that, and I found it to be true, that he is a bundle of love. He is just like so radiant. I don't know if I've ever met anyone as radiant as this person in terms of just the radiance of love and light, and I wanted to be around that. I wanted to know, get some sense of what could it be to have not only that his own physical body was imprisoned, but that, much of his way of life was decimated, really decimated, not a little bit. But, or you Cultural Revolution, the vast majority of monasteries and nunneries and monks and nuns were destroyed or killed or and the people killed or imprisoned. And, you know, a few people escaped, like the Dalai Lama, and lived in exile, and quite a few people were imprisoned. And so I wanted to know, like, what would it be like to be around this person who that was his story, if you want to think about the story, and I'd heard that now he was just full of love. Like, how did he come out of prison shinier than he went in? Like, way shinier. And I can't tell you exactly how, of course, but I can tell you that it was really astounding to be around him and to be in this center. So he has a meditation center in Arizona. It's kind of near Chino Valley, if you know where that is, sort of between Prescott and Flagstaff, in the middle of nowhere. The way the Tibetans like their monasteries up high with the views all the way around, kind of a little island. And he has students, you know, tens of thousands of students, and he's a very revered teacher. And he's just a very simple, loving man. And I don't know, you know, it's possible that I saw what I wanted to see or felt what I wanted to feel, but it certainly seemed like everybody who was there had a kind of ease, a kind of peacefulness. All of us who were gathered there for this retreat. And over and over and over again, what he says and what his Khenpos, his monks who teach, say is that the way to happiness is to let go of self-grasping, and the way to let go of self-grasping is to love. And it's not complicated in a way.
No.
We can make it very, very complicated, and not to say that it's easy by any means, but all the complications, all the techniques, all the ways of practicing meditation, all the ways of doing ceremony, all the ways of honoring each other and honoring the world, they're all in the service of reminding us that our essence is radiant and loving. It's not something that we have to figure out how to add into this being. The Buddhist point of view is that what we start with, who we are, is a radiant, compassionate, wise being. And then life does its thing, and, you know, clouds come over, the clouds get in the way, you know. And we have sometimes to work very hard to kind of sand off the stuff that gets layered on. And that is not to say that that's not some kind of work, but it's not in the service of, like, we have to become someone different, we have to change something fundamental about ourselves. It's about letting go of those things that are in the way, so that the natural way of being, the loving of our parents when they're not well, even when they're so difficult. I mean, one thing I was thinking about, I'm sorry I don't remember your name.
Celia.
Sam?
Celia.
Celia, I'm sorry. So, when you were talking, Celia, I was thinking about you. My mom has been very unwell, especially this past winter, and my brothers and I, my mom is 92, my brothers and I all gathered in our home, which is in Buffalo, which in and of itself is a, in the winter, is enough of a trial. And, you know, to try and make a good situation for my mom as her life is changing. And I'll tell you something, my brothers and I, we're all good people, and we care about our mother, but she's lovely in many ways, and she's very difficult. And she was, and as my one brother says, she's a lovely person, but she's not a great parent. And it was really challenging. It was really challenging because part of what happened is that we didn't feel what we thought love should feel like, or what we were told love should feel like. It didn't feel warm and fuzzy. It felt like a chore, or it felt like, maybe it felt like the right thing to do, no question. And there was no question of us doing it. Like, nobody had to talk anybody into anything. I've been with many families at the end of life or in difficult situations all throughout their lives. And there's usually at least one or two siblings who are not really into it. But in this case, we were all participating, in each in our own way. And that part was easy, to know that we were going to do it. But to actually do it and to be present with the mixture of emotion that it brought, which was all over the board, and with the, as we know, the re-stimulated childhood emotion that's in there, that doesn't have anything hardly to do with present time. In present time, my mom was actually very sweet. But the old her wasn't always so sweet. I mean, the new her could be crabby too, but I shouldn't say that. But not as much, But whatever patterns were in here that were triggered, for each of us, it was definitely challenging. And I think that one of the things that's really trips us up in our culture is we have this feeling like love is supposed to feel nice. But love and nice are not the same thing, as you know, especially if you have children or parents. I don't have any children, but I have parents. And I've spent a lot of time with children and teenagers and people in distress. And nice doesn't matter. If it feels nice, good, that's a bonus. My teacher, Sharon Salzberg, says love is not an emotion, it's a radical way of understanding the world. It's understanding, it's the Buddhist understanding that we are one. We are connected, we are interconnected. There's no me and you. There's no I love me but I don't love you. Or I love you but I don't love me. I mean, there's various degrees of comfort or ease that we have with each other and with ourselves. But there's not, based on this idea that we're all one organism. The Buddhist idea that is often translated as emptiness, my teacher, Joseph Goldstein, one time had a conversation with, that I saw recorded with Ram Dass, where he was saying, he was bemoaning, Joseph's this very great meditation teacher, and he said, Ram Dass gets to call it loving awareness, I have to call it emptiness. It's this emptiness that we talk about in Buddhism. It's about the fact that nothing is solid, nothing is fixed. Everything has within it and of its nature is spacious, is made of the same space, not space as in void, space as in like space in a teacup, Well, that's one metaphor. There's no perfect one metaphor for this, but it's a potentiality. It's what allows us to grow and live. If things are solid and unchanging, then nothing can be alive. Nothing can grow. Nothing can move. Nothing can breathe. So it's this kind of understanding of emptiness. That's my mini paragraph on emptiness. It's a huge topic. Is what allows us to understand that we're in it together. We're all in the same being. This way of loving that is our natural radiance, this understanding of interconnection that is our natural place, this is where the love can come from. And there are approximations of that we do all the time as humans, and that's fine. That's our practice. That's our learning. But if you think of it, my teacher Tsoknyi Rinpoche calls it essence love. This kind of love in ourselves that we are born with, like that you see in a small child, that doesn't have a reason. It's not because of this or because of that. It doesn't even have an object. A small child will put their love on any object they see. You've all seen that. It doesn't matter. It can be a rock, it can be a booger, it can be their little brother, it doesn't matter. The love is the natural state. And the place where we turn it into a transaction, like, I'll love you if you do this for me, you know. If you make my life feel happy, then I'll love you back. That kind of transactional love is different than what we're talking about when we talk about essence love or loving kindness in its deepest sense. And it's this feeling like, he sometimes refers to it as happy without reason. We all have lots of reasons to be happy. We have also many reasons to be unhappy. And they interact. But that capacity to love because, or to love, on this retreat that I was just talking about, Krishna Das was also there, the kirtan singer. He and Gajah Rinpoche are in love with each other. and he was doing his thing, and people get very happy, bliss, ecstatic, often when Krishna Das and his people are singing to Maharaji. But what Tsoknyi Rinpoche says is that feeling that you have during that, it's the contact of that experience with the essence of yourself. So, because we all know, like, if you go into a situation where that's beautiful, but you're feeling miserable, you may not even notice it, right? Like this, or you may not. You're like, oh yeah, Krishna, that's so stupid, because you're in that mood, or something's hardened in there. That's like a microcosm or a tiny relative example of this bigger ultimate experience, which is that we can move away through our efforts the delusions that are separating us from each other, and be back in touch with that natural radiance. And I love the word radiance in this case, because if you think about the sun, like the sun doesn't have to make an effort to radiate. It's its nature. Its nature is radiant light, radiant heat. There's no the sun wakes up in the morning and goes, let's see if I can radiate today. And if we don't feel the sun, that's because something's in the way. It's because there's clouds or a dust storm, or we've got too many clothes on, or we're inside the house instead of outside, we've got the shades pulled, or we're so caught up in our mind that we're not even noticing it. But the sun is just radiating. That's what it does. And that's what we do too. Our natural way of being is to radiate love. And so we don't have to effort to do that. But sometimes we have to notice, what's in the way? What's in the way? I need to take off my sunglasses. Or I need my friend to come over and open the shades. Because sometimes we need our friend to open the shades because we can't do it. We don't remember, we forgot. we're so stuck, and that's okay, that's why we have each other. And, we do our practice, whatever our spiritual practice is. It's not just about sitting down and doing something nice and feeling nice. It's about, in my practice, in the practice that I do, it's about sitting still every day and noticing what arises. And loving what arises, which doesn't mean like I go, oh good, anger, thank you, I love you so much. It means allowing. It means just letting it be there. Oh yeah, I see, anger's here. Oh, I see, oh, you're here, anger. Okay. Oh, I'm here, I'm doing my practice, I'm watching my breath, I'm paying attention to my experience. You can be here too, you can come, you can go. I'm gonna stay steady. And that is the way that we express love, is by showing up, just the way I was talking about my brothers showing up for my mom. It's not about us like every second going, oh mom, which would probably drive her crazy, but it's about showing up. It's about showing up and not requiring something to be different than it is. So we show up, we notice the anger, we notice the sadness, we notice the fear, as well as the joy and the happiness and the excitement, whatever is happening. And we know that its nature is also empty. Its nature is also changing. It's also impermanent. So if we just let it be there, it will, of its own accord, it will move. It will pass. It might come right back. It might come back alive. It doesn't stay forever. It definitely gets stubborn and stays if we try to get rid of it, as you know. And so in those moments, those particular difficulties that visit us often, and they don't easily respond to, oh, I see you, and then they go on their way. Sometimes that happens so easily, right? We name it, we go, oh yeah, I'm feeling kind of grumpy today, and it can move. And but there's some things that are really sticky, and really come up a lot. My teacher calls these beautiful monsters. And I think the monster part is obvious, but the beautiful part is that in and of themselves, they have the secret of their liberation, of their pop, which is that they're just phenomena in the mind. They're not permanent, they're not solid. They will move of their own accord if we let them. And they're kind of like toddlers. If we try to tell them what to do, they do the other thing more. So there has to be space for the beautiful monster to do its thing, and for us to allow, not indulge, allow, not like, oh, okay, now I know I'm a person with grief, and I'm just going to talk about grief nonstop all day long. Sometimes we have to do that. Maybe that's a bad example of how to say that. But meaning not like we get identified with that. Not that we indulge the beautiful monster, but we also don't fight it. What Tsoknyi Rinpoche says is we handshake it, meaning not like this, not like, nice to meet you, but like this. Like, here's the difficulty, and here's our attention, and we're just like, oh, there you are. And if this is even too much, then we just go like, oh, I'll just be over here. I'll just be here. If you feel like it, we could talk later. And just allowing the space for that, and it will, of its own accord, on its own timing, which we do not get to direct, and as many times as it needs to come back and then go, and come back and then go, it will move just like the clouds move away from the sun, and a little more of our radiance will be available. If we try to push and force, then really what we're doing is we're being unkind to an aspect of ourselves. And that doesn't work. You probably noticed. And indulging it doesn't work either. You know, there's a famous quote by the Zen teacher Suzuki Roshi about, you know, when these difficulties come in your meditation, you can open the front door and open the back door and let them move through, but don't invite them to sit down for tea. You know, it's like we don't want to get identified. We don't want to run away. We don't want to try to change, and we don't want to suppress. We don't want to like not pretend it's not there, because of course that does not work at all. It works for a minute, and the price is incredibly high. So we just want to allow, and that allow is what love is in this case. So when we're with somebody who's in distress in one way or another, whether they're dying or whether they're having a heartbreak or whether, you know, they're 2 years old and their ice cream fell off the cone, you know, our way to help is to just be there. You know, pick up the melted ice cream and put it back on there. You know, it's all full of dirt, and you know, you can't fix it, maybe. But you can be with the distress of the being, and however they are, and that allowing. I think about it all the time. There was a time in my life when I was feeling a huge amount of grief, and you know, so many well-meaning people will try to change how you feel. Oh, put a smile on it, you know, or you know, whatever. There's a million ways. Oh, it's all for the best, or oh, in a better place, or oh, I don't know. There's a zillion. Everything happens for a reason. My least favorite thing to say to a grieving person. It would be helpful if I could contact that the person was just trying to be kind. You know, if I could contact them. Because that's all that we need is kindness. You just need someone to sit next to you and hold your hand while you thrash around and cry and scream and act like, you know, a 2-year-old. Whatever. Or whatever you need to do, you know? You need somebody that is going to sit next to you and listen while you say all the horrible things about your mom, and they don't really believe it. They just let you go. They don't hold you to it later and say, why are you helping that mean woman, you know? And that's the same thing that we need for ourselves. We need to be able to like let it run. Oh yeah, there you go. There you go, fear. Saying all that crazy stuff. I'll just be right here. If you need me, I'm around, and when you're ready, we'll come together, and just let it go. Which is different than believing it. It's very different than believing it. You know, it's very nice what Jenny said about me, and I am a nice person, but I also have a temper. I'm also a Scorpio. And I'm Italian American, like fire is what we do, and we don't really mean it, we just do it. I mean, we mean it, but for like 3 seconds, right? And then what I noticed when I moved out of the East Coast is that when you do that among people who don't, it isn't their cultural way, like for years they can think, wow, what a scary, mean person. And I literally forgot it in 3 seconds. And so, you know, I had to learn something culturally, but there's nothing more, well, I shouldn't say nothing more, but one of the things that's really difficult for me is if in those 3 seconds I say something that people believe, you know? So often in those 30 seconds, I'm just blowing off steam, and then, I've had people come up to me later and say, oh, you said that blah, 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 you wished so-and-so would, like, fall off the cliff, like, you must really hate them. And I'm like, I don't remember it at all, So, of course, I'm not advocating this way of behaving. I'm just saying that this is what happens inside of us all the time. And if we believe that, then that's a kind of indulgence. But if we tell it, shut up, doesn't work. Just like it wouldn't work if you told me to shut up in that moment. Or at least it didn't used to work. It might work now. Maybe. Feelings are feelings. And in our culture, because we tend to value thinking over feeling, and because many of us have been told that our feelings were too much or incorrect or causing trouble, then I think, especially in our subculture that most of us live in here, we can reify the feelings too much, in response to being told we weren't allowed to have feelings, and so we have to find the middle ground with that, where we allow thoughts and feelings to be there with this kind of love that I'm talking about, which is it's just making space for. That's all it is, making space for it. It has its own wisdom. It'll know what to do. And it will go. It will come again. It'll come in another color, another form. We'll go, oh yeah, there you are again. I thought that you were gone. No, I'm still here. So it's okay. So, I think, when we have a child who acts like a child, we go, oh yeah, of course, they're acting like a child. We'll just make space for that. When we have an adult who acts like a child, especially if they're our parent or our spouse, then, a whole different response, right? Not okay. It's just a passing moment. By this, I'm not saying to put up with abuse. I'm not saying we don't have boundaries. I'm not saying we don't say this is not okay. I'm saying we say that to the action, but we don't have to turn it into hate. There's really a difference between saying, I'm going to walk away from this because this is not okay, and hating. There's a difference between, I want to change this behavior in myself, this flash of temper, and, oh, I hate myself when I do that. There's such a huge difference. And that's what we want to cultivate. We want to cultivate. And especially, so then, getting back to Garchen Rinpoche, like, I don't know, he didn't talk about it, so I got the book. I'll let you know after I read it if I learned something I didn't. But in his presence, I just felt this person who, wore it out. He wore it out, this anger, and got to some place where love was more important and more helpful. So I think, oh, maybe it's really possible. Oh, it's time to stop. I always talk too long. But I want to read you a quote from Andrea Gibson. We love her, right?
Yes.
Great poet.
She's amazing. Have you guys seen the movie?
Yep.
This is amazing. See if I find it, sorry. Takes me-
What's
oh,
the
yeah.
name? What movie was it?
Andrea Gibson is the poet.
But what was the movie?
She was a poet laureate of Colorado just
Right.
recently, and she died of cancer. And during her journey of dying, a documentary was being made about her, and then she got this diagnosis. So it turned out to be a documentary of her dying with her and her wife, and it is stunning and so honest. It's so honest.
And it was nominated for an Academy Award.
Is it?
Yeah.
I believe it.
And it's just called her name?
No.
No, it's.
What's-
I forget what it's called, but
We'll get it.
but if you Google Andrea Gibson, you'll find it.
That's right.
Let's
Here we go.
So I can't remember this. I can't remember what this is in response to, but the person writing this says, "I can't stop thinking about these words by Andrea Gibson." Put on my glasses. Everything that you are feeling, name it love. Lately, I have been filled with so much rage, sadness, despair, and fear. Anybody relate? But then I ask myself, why am I feeling all of that? Love, 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 love. It is all just love. Realizing this makes sitting with it just a little bit easier.
The movie's called Come See Me in a Good Light.
Yeah, so somehow, I don't know, I don't totally understand this magic, but somehow one of the things I really felt at Gurchen Rinpoche's place was like, okay, we know, we are experiencing in our lives, in our culture, what appears to be the end, what appears to be the decimation, or possibly the end, and a kind of decimation of many things we value. And what I saw with this being, and I've seen it, with other Tibetans, but not quite as dramatically, is you can't kill the Dharma, you can't kill the love, you can try and imprison it, you can try and decimate the people, but it can persevere. And it's not okay, and it's not nice, and it's not pretty, and a lot of beings have suffered, but something has survived that is shinier than when it went in. And so that gives me some hope that not that things are not that there's nothing to rage about, not that there's nothing to be fearful about, but that it can, the radiant love can persevere through it. And in the meantime, it feels bad. And that's not some mistake in us. That's not something wrong with us. It's just how it is. And it's temporary. So, thank you so much for listening.